Yes, the Kawasaki W800, the motorcycle which I've got for 3 years already, and I did on that bike 15,000 miles, which is around 24,000 kilometers. So I can give you an honest review of that bike, and I can tell you how it is to live with that bike. Do I love it? Do I hate it? Or something in between? If you want to know, just stay with me and I will tell you exactly that. I won't tell you though anything about the specs of that bike. To be honest, you can find it in other reviews. You can also find really good reviews and informative reviews like my own review. I'm pretty sure you already watched those, but if not, do that first. But if you want to know what the owner thinks of that bike after 15,000 miles, stay with me and I will tell you exactly that. And let's start with cons, with really bad things, like this computer graphic instead of proper paint. It doesn't look good, I don't think so. So that's really bad, that's the first thing. But then it comes to something worse. This bike's engine is actually covered with some protective paint, but the engine itself is really prone to oxidation. And after a few years riding in the rain, in winter, or even in the summer, it starts to look like that. It's really nasty. It's because of plenty of oxidation happening everywhere actually on the engine. Absolutely everywhere. Can you see that? Really, really nasty. Yeah. It was really terrible, but you can see also the sprocket cover, which is on the right side, and it does look slightly better. And here comes the third thing, the paint on the shock absorbers. But I don't mind because those shock absorbers are not good enough and it's better to change it with something better. They are not maybe terribly bad, but there are better on the market like Hagen's or something like that. And here are the front fork legs. They've got the same issue as the whole engine. The protective paint is not good enough to keep it clean, and now it's oxidizing, same as the engine. It is really horrible, to be honest. And things like that are happening on almost every single bike. Well, I mean every W. Well, at least those ridden in the rain and in the wet damp countries like England. And now you can see the camshaft cover, which looks a lot better. And I will tell you later why. But now, let's look closer at the engine covers. Looks like utter crap. Yes, it does. Look at that. So as you can see, I'm complaining a lot about that, because it looks high-dose. It really does. But seriously, other than that, there is absolutely, and I mean it, absolutely nothing to complain about. But seriously, even that issue can be easily sorted, like here. Just look at that. Does it look good? I think so. And then, back to the engine. Yeah, so from this to that. And it's really easy to polish it like that. So no problem at all. And before saying anything about the character of the bike, about the power or anything else, how do I feel with the bike or anything, absolutely anything else, I will show you how to clean it properly and what to do if your bike is nasty like mine. What you really need is the sandpaper. 150 to scrub the crap out of the motorcycle, 240, 360 maybe, then 800, and then at the end this one. And with that you will be able to prepare it like that. It will look like matte, but after a bit of polish it will look like that, or even better. But anyway, the engine is still dirty, as you can see, but that's actually prepared to be polished, and that's the last step. So I also cleaned that. Remember how it looked like? And now at least it's cleaned. So what you need to do is to scrub that old paint, which is, you can still probably see here. It's initially prepared, but yeah, there is an old paint here on this side. I hope you can still see that. And then it's all cleaned up to the bottom with the bits of paint over here. So we've got the tools. we've got the engine prepared. It is now polished, so that's all we need to do. Well, I will show you something in a second. Okay, hold on a sec. The job is done. After cleaning, well, sort of deep cleaning and polishing, it looks like that. Yeah, I know, it looked easy, but it wasn't. It took me actually 2 days to achieve that. But it's not that difficult really. After scraping the engine with sandpaper, you basically need an angle grinder with a rotating felt disc and brown polish compound. And yeah, after a bit of maybe a Dremel as well, and after a bit of effort, you will achieve that. What do you think? I think it looks good. Yeah, well, the front forks are not still finished, but the engine is finished, so I think it looks decent. Even better than the new bike. So, as I've sorted the biggest issue of that bike, let's take it for a spin. That doesn't matter. I will turn maybe left. Yeah, left is good. He said drive slowly. I will then. So, as you've seen, the bike is not maybe terribly fast, but it's not slow either. It's actually reasonably fast, I would say. And in my opinion, it's got enough of character. However, it's kinda smooth. But I did a few mods, which I will talk about later, to make it less smooth and give it slightly more character. And I think I was successful in that. So, what have I done to the bike so far? I've replaced the mufflers, I've cut out the original mufflers, I want to replace the pipes as well because the inner diameter is not good enough. I will give you the link to the whole exhaust mod in the top right corner, yep. But so far I've got another pipes, so I will do that later on, but now I'm fine with that because I removed the stock mufflers, I've got rid of the cross pipe which was there, I've bypassed the O2 sensor, and most importantly I've added the HAK controller which is controlling the fuel of the bike. So now it's way better. But what was most important, I think, except the fuel controller, was getting rid of the secondary throttle butterflies. And basically what it gave me was much better throttle response. And the bike feels much more alive now, it feels much more responsive, and it feels faster. Even it's not really faster. But with the fueling, with the better fueling, it is faster than the stock. So, here we are. And if you wanted to ask me why do I have the red fuel injector light warning on my dash, it's because I've got rid of the secondary butterflies. And also some not important electronics, sensors and stupid stuff like that. So I made it simpler and better. Well, at least that's my opinion. You might disagree with me. So, is there anything else I want to add about this bike? Yeah, well, actually, there are absolutely no problems whatsoever. I didn't have any single issue with that motorcycle so far. I really love it. I really love how it handles. It handles beautifully on the British roads. It's really lightweight bike. It handles absolutely great on this kind of bends and this kind of roads I'm riding now. So I'm really happy with that bike. And actually I stopped riding my Harley simply because I fell in love in how this bike handles, how this bike behaves on those roads. It's absolutely fantastic. Well, to be honest, my seat is not that fantastic, because actually the seat in this bike is like sitting on a plank. But it might be because I've replaced my original W800 seat with W650 one, which looks way better. It really does, but it's like a plank. But it's a bench seat, flat seat, and I love it much more, to be honest. And I'm kinda tough. Well, sort of. So, what else I've done? And what can I tell you more about the bike? I changed the front sprocket one tooth up, and that reduced the RPM on the motorway by around 500 RPM-ish. And with this change, it's slightly better on the motorways, really. Because on the stock sprocket, when you are doing 70 on your speedo, it's actually lying, and in fact you were doing 10% less, so something like 64 miles an hour. But now 70 is 7, and it's really easy to keep like 70-75 miles per hour on a motorway. It's really easy to stick to that speed, and if I need to, I can do up to 85 miles per hour, but it's unpleasant. Everything more than 75 is starting to be a bit unpleasant. So what else can I tell you? The maintenance. The maintenance on that bike is really easy. Actually, you don't need to do much with that bike really, but let's say something the most complicated possibly, valve adjustment, is so easy, nothing easier than that, and you don't need to do it much often, because the valve system in that bike uses shims, which you basically are replacing from time to time, but it doesn't require you to do it much often, so it's really good. And I don't think there is much more I can tell you about this bike, because the bike is actually spot on. The proportions of that bike are absolutely spot on. The bike looks better than any other modern retro bike. All the proportions are much more similar to the original Triumph PSAs and bikes like that from the 60s. It looks way better than the modern Triumphs and Royal Enfields. That's my opinion. You can disagree with that, but I'm right, and you know it. But yeah, it doesn't mean that other bikes are ugly. I love all the bikes. I also love Triumphs, Royal Enfield, Goodies, and almost every single bike. Love them all. So, if you've got any questions, leave it in the comment section. If you enjoyed, give me thumbs up, and if you haven't done it yet, subscribe to my channel. Also, let me know what is your favorite modern retro bike and why. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.